Today we are going to take a look at how a suitcase lock works. At the beginning, a lock has an actuator and a number of dials. If you didn't put the correct combination using the dial, the actuator will not be able to move and unlock the zipper. On the other hand, if the correct combination is entered, the actuator is allowed to move, which unlocks the zipper. Now, if you want to change the code, you need to be in the unlock position while you keep the actuator pulled. You can change the correct code to something else. But how does that work? Let's take a look at the inside of it. If we take off the top cover, we will see a bunch of parts that makes everything works properly. There is the actuator, which is guided to only move left and right. There is an actuation plate, which is guided to move up and down and is biased by means of a spring. There is a locking plate, which is guided to move left and right and is biased by means of a spring. There are 3 dials assemblies. Let's take a look at these dial assemblies. It consists of the dial itself and a clutch and a spring. The dial has a number of dents while the clutch has a number of tapered grooves where these dents enters. When the dial tries to rotate, it will rotate the clutch with it because of the dents. If for any reason the clutch is stuck in rotation, the dial will still be able to rotate because the dents of the dial will be able to slide over the tapered hole of the clutch. The clutch will move down and regain its original position by the means of spring. Now let's take a look at how it works. In order to open the lock, the actuator must be allowed to move. When it moves, the actuation plate will move up because of the sliding surface between them. This sliding surface is what causes the left to right motion of the actuator to be transformed to up and down motion of the actuation plate. Now, if you restrict the motion of the actuation plate, you will restrict the motion of the actuator and hence lock the zipper. Here is where the locking plate comes to play. It has 3 extrusions which has the same shape of the notches in the clutches. When the correct code is entered, the notches of the clutches will be aligned with the extrusions from the locking plate, making the locking plate in its farthest position from the actuation plate, which will allow the zipper to unlock. On the other hand, when the wrong code is entered, the notches in the clutches are now not aligned with the extrusions from the locking plate, making it block the way of the actuation plate. This in turn will restrict the motion of the actuator, keeping it locked. And that is how setting the correct code opens the lock. Now let's see how setting the new code is done. This can only be done if you are already on the correct code. Now, if you keep the actuator in the unlocked position and try to rotate the dial, notice what happens. Now the clutches can't rotate because the extrusions are inside of the notches, and now the actuation plate is locking the locking plate from moving, keeping the clutches from rotating. So now the clutches is stuck in its position and the dial will rotate alone, allowing you to enter the new code that will be used to unlock the suit in the future. And that is how luggage lock works.